having it hanging on a wall, like also a Trojan horse, where the people who can relate to these objects, like for just a Western white collector, this is a beautiful object, just like they do with like the masks of our ancestors in museums. It's like, oh, it's a beautiful object, but for us, there is a meaning to it. And when the people that are really concerned by it, they go to these museums, they know what's up. And that's the thing I keep on thinking about, like how my masks, again, like can maybe become really wearable or objects that people can use for the revolution, or just even before the revolution itself happens. Through the process, they can still relate to it. They can still identify their culture, their identity in it. Um, and also do some collages. And the collages are more into like mind maps of, yeah, the different references I grew up with in, again, like in the kind of crossroads space I grew up in. Um, and both collages and marks to me were really linked, yeah, to Glisson's idea of opacity. As well, Glisson with his right of opacity, the right to not give everything, to not show everything. Um, so yeah, to really sum up, like I think my artistic practice is really trying to bring these worlds as objects, as something material, not just ideas, but really showing that these worlds can become things that we can touch, things that we can feel. Um, and again, maybe yeah, one day they can become real tools for us to hide ourselves, for us to protect ourselves from prying eyes, and just to recognize this long lineage of resistance and that we've always been fighting against the times we are facing now.
So I was just saying that you say that, and I remember I was just thinking about the mask on the wall here. Because I'm in
Hmm.
a house that is generally marketed for like outsiders, tourists, Europeans, etc.
Yeah,
And but it's run by a black woman, and she knows that this basket is a basket that kind of brings them into to give them that kind of African feel type of thing. It's like marketing as well. But at the same time, I know
hmm.
that she also uses these baskets
Yeah,
for like separating rice, etc. And so when I'm thinking about the museums and the masks on the walls and how they kind of operate as like one thing, just okay, on one side we're doing this for the gallery and the people who go to the gallery, but when the revolution kind of jumps off, you can immediately have the utility of the mass to do whatever you need to do at that moment. And so there's this type of dual like function of the objects, one for them, but also one for us as well. And I was even thinking like, yeah, so it's almost
yeah,
like you'd imagine that we'd also put machetes on the wall as well, because when the revolution comes up, you don't just need the mask, you need the machetes as well. So but they can see if it's beautifully
yeah,
like designed machete when they need to see it. But then we have our own purposes, etc. So
yeah. I
you
mean, it's true. Like, you have all these beautiful swords, like blades and scimitars in this, yeah, in all these museums. Yeah, this blade comes from like the Arabic Peninsula in the 15th century. This other thing comes there and here. I can just imagine someone just like blasting the glass and okay, now let's see how I can update this 15th century, blade. And I'm also thinking about like, yeah, the machete, we always have one in the Caribbean, like all Caribbean households, you always have one, and it's for like herbs, for like the plants. But if anything goes wrong, the first thing your dad or mom will grab, like if someone is threatening at your doorstep, it's the machete. So
yeah.
yeah, like objects that are ambiguous, but like occupy this ambiguity. It's important to keep that in mind because fascism just wants things to stay in one place. So if you're able to create objects that are traps, that are um, like um, yeah, that are like these kinds of like trickster objects in some sense. They can also allow you again to play with that, and yeah, like again, carnival has been also with that. Like carnival, all the practices of capoeira to when we hide the martial art, the violence of our gestures with dance. But the thing is that when facing, for example, the slave catchers, when you're using them, you can really defend yourself, even kill them, protect yourself. So always going into these processes of hiding the real meaning of these objects and only the people who really want them will understand what we can do with that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, one day it would be wonderful and nice to find out that all this time, all of the tokens and all of the things of Black culture that has been all over the colonies everywhere was actually just an expertly laid trap, as you say, or an ambush. And then at the moment that it becomes necessary, they all come alive and do the thing that they were supposed to do. And it might just very well be that maybe those smiling people who smile at that, at the police and the racists of general day-to-day life. And maybe those smiles can turn into frowns immediately, and then maybe something can jump off. Who knows? Maybe we're not all just happy for no reason. Anyway,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, yeah. Okay, so let me
it's true.
ask this other question. What is the greatest threat to your inspiration?
I took a lot of time to think about this one, but I think the main answer would be despair. Because I truly believe that what's the best tool fascism can have. Despair in all its different like incarnations. And I'm saying that because again, as an artist, for example, if I feel desperate, if I feel like I mean, when I'm talking about despair, I'm not talking about, like the kind of like last minute despair that you might feel and then you decide to really like jump, like the kind of like when you're back on the wall and the only option is to jump. That's another type of despair, but I'm really talking about the more like insidious one of like feeling like things cannot will never be able to get better, that um, yeah, but basically whatever you do, it will never have any impact or anything like that. I think this is one of the best strategies fascism can use against us. When I think about the news and the way they always, overflood us with like bad news, it's the only thing you will see almost everywhere. Nobody talks about the little beautiful things. Nobody talks even about the little victories all around us. It's always about what's worse. And I feel like there is this thing also of like when the Trump administration was having these very constantly, like tweets or just shows these videos of like like expulsing people like like I see all the tools, the machinery. The idea is basically to tell people don't try anything. You will automatically lose. But if people really get that to that narrative and accept that, yeah, whatever I do will never um bring me anywhere, of course we will stop fighting. If we have this kind of despair, we will just stop fighting. We will just stop working. We will just stop having these kind of conversations, and then from this conversation, build up actions. So I feel like despair is really the main thing that could stop me from working or making art, because I would just be like, what's the point of all of that? Um, but that's not, again, that's not how our ancestors were thinking. Um, even if you're a slave that has only known the plantation, you might still feel like, yeah, but maybe the next generation will see something else. Maybe there will be some people that will go maroons, or again, others that might even get emancipated and that might be able to know something else. So if it's not about us, we should also think about the next ones. And I think Kwame had saying about that. Like revolution is never about us getting the fruits of that. It's about laying the ground for the next ones that will come. And despair works in selfishness and feeling like yeah, if I stop, yeah, I might be able to just accept the situation better. But it's not just about you. It's always about the others. And yeah, like I wouldn't be making art if I always let these little doubts of yeah, what am I doing right now with like the war in Iran, in the Middle East. Of course, my art won't stop these wars, but again, my way, I'm trying to allow for people to feel like they can still do something, to feel like their world still matters. Because when a place is oppressed, the only thing that stays is your culture, and your culture is, I feel like your last um, resource against this kind of despair.
Yeah, and it also remind me of like one this George Bush shock and awe doctrine, which you find in a number of colonial texts as well. Is like what they would do is they would demonstrate how powerful they are by showing the repeated violence. This is what lynchings were
Mm,
about. This is what chopping off enslaved people's heads and putting them on spikes was about, to show the complete totalitarian control of white power and white enslaving power, so that everybody who might think to rebel will be like intimidated and just like kind of like go down. And that's how they managed the population. So
yeah.
yeah, if it is if, in there showing their perfection of anti-Black terror, and you kind of accept that as this is what it is, and so you get despair, you won't move against it. You'll just kind of like chill. So it is part of the policing structure. So yeah, I get that. It's like I don't want to talk about
Mm.
hope in the way, because not because hope is inherently bad, but just because of how it's been used by colonialists. But the whatever the opposite of hope is, whatever the despair is, seems if it is a policing device, then it is extremely useful to making sure that the enslaved keep quiet and things just remain where they are. So
Yeah.
makes sense. Um, what are you working on or would like to promote? And if you have a favorite piece you want to show, or yeah, that's preferably not your favorite, we'll take that too.
I mean, like I was saying, yeah, I mean, right now I'm really to painting these masks. But I think like if it's okay, rather than talk showing my work here, um, I would like maybe yeah people to really like go and look at their carnival traditions. I mean, if you're Caribbean, if you're coming from like an Afro-descending family in the Americas and even in Africa with all the different masquerades, the different mass societies, I would yeah encourage people